10 million. That is the number of Americans that believe the Apollo 11 moon landing was staged. There are varying beliefs about what actually happened in the July of 1969 when NASA sent out their rocket into space. But were they capable of going to the moon and back in that era? Leading up to the event, the United States and former Soviet Union were engaged in a period of tension known as the Cold War. And one aspect of this war was the space race, in which the two countries were competing to see who can get a man to the moon. One belief that people have is that the Apollo 11 mission was successful, and this is supported by lunar materials that can be found at the Lyndon B. Johnson Space Center in Houston, Texas, which is claimed to have been taken from the moon's surface by the Apollo 11 crew. In Philip Plight's 2002 book, Bad Astronomy, he claims that the likelihood of the hundreds of technicians and scientists being able to pull off a hoax as astronomically large as a moon landing would have been impossible. Another belief that people have is that NASA didn't have enough funding at the time and had to stage the event instead. The late 1960s was also the peak of the Vietnam War, and reports by the U.S. Office of Management and Budget show that the proportion of federal funding being dedicated to the NASA program was steadily declining year by year, as the U.S. was more focused on the war effort. In Bill Kayson's 1976 book, We Never Went to the Moon, he claims that footage and photos taken by the Apollo 11 crew seemed to be on a movie set, with no stars, dust on the equipment and astronaut suits, and artificial lighting in almost every shot taken. Another belief that people have is that NASA wasn't progressing fast enough to beat the Soviets and had to stage the event. In JFK's speech to Congress in May of 1961, he claimed that NASA's goal by the end of the 1960s was to landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to Earth. This was rather ambitious, as the Soviet Union had already sent a man to space and back in the month prior. In Mary Bennett and David S. Perry's 1999 book, Dark Moon, Apollo and the Whistleblowers, they claimed that broadcasting an unsuccessful launch and return of the astronauts would have been a major embarrassment to both NASA and the United States, just as the Apollo 1 test launch was when preparation oversights led to the death of the crew and destruction of the Apollo 1 shuttle. These are only some of the beliefs about what happened. Was NASA actually capable of getting to the moon? Did they run out of funding? Or did they simply not have enough time to beat the Soviets? Hopefully one day we'll all be able to agree and see eye to eye on what actually happened in that July of 1969.